Okay, so you caught me. There was one nib, one pen that I didn't mention in my nib video yesterday. One very, very, very beautiful, one very, very delicious, one very, very gorgeous, but slightly leaky pen. Now, can you remember? Can you think what is missing? Well, let's find out what that beast is. The beast. the beast of the nibs. This way. Okay, so the beast is revealed. The beast. The beast is one of the most beautiful writing items you could ever wish upon this earth. This is in a beautiful leather case. Look at that. Inside you have one of the most gorgeous things. Now look at the shine on that. This is the fountain pen. Sorry, my camera's in a different place today. And just have a look at that. Now this is a cross. And it is absolutely gorgeous. And inside, if you screw the side of it, inside you have a little cartridge that's full of ink that feeds all the way down. And on the back of this has got these gills. You see all these lines? And they soak up with all the ink and they hold that ink. So when you're writing and you're drawing, there is this constant flow. There is this constant dripping down through all the layers to get to the tip of that absolutely, where are you? Look at that, absolutely stunning. Isn't that so beautiful? It's very heavy. This one is very heavy, and that's one of the things I loved about it. But there is a drawback. Here it is. Now, this is a cross pen, and if you're the cross company, help me, because I love this pen so much. But here's the problem. Here's the problem. I've taken it out of the leather case. It's all got full all ink and nothing. Now that's the frustration with these pens, that sometimes if you're not using them very regular and very kind of daily, then the flow seems to stop and you end up with an absolutely gorgeous pen in a gorgeous case with an absolutely beautiful nib that so that is the reason why I hold back from fountain pens. Now I have a whole drawer full of these. I probably have about 20, maybe 30 of these. And some of them are so beautiful, like this cross. And cross company, please, please help me. Am I doing something wrong? It is inked, it is clean, it is well looked after. But you can go and buy a very cheap Chinese one. There you go, look. I'm not sure of the brand. It might be a Jinhao. It might be a Jinhao. And it's probably about £10. And it works. Now this is a very fine liner, which is really, really lovely. It's got a very, as we were talking about yesterday with the nib, it has this constant line. And it has a very even, very, very, very constant line. And sometimes you might get a little bit of black fingers, but the beauty of these compared to like these these kind of micro pens for me is much more beautiful. And you can basically kind of draw anything you want. Almost kind of gives me a Quentin Blake type of feeling. You can kind of draw faces in that kind of Quentin Blake style. And that is one style. The difference is with these, the ink is filled up here, and you have basically a twister at the top that kind of sucks the ink up, which is much better than a cartridge, because you can buy any ink that you like then. So for £10, fantastic. Another version of that, let me just let me just try my finger, is this one, which is a Fude nib. And the Fude nib is slightly different. Oh, shall I show you the... yeah, let's show you both. Go on, I'll treat you. Right, so this one has got a very thin pointing nib. And this one, wherever the camera is, I hate this camera. There you go. It's got a little bit of a bend on the end, so you can see the differences between them. Now, it's kind of got a little snub nose, basically. But what is beautiful about that little snub nose is that it gives you everything almost of your dip pen. Now look at this lovely thick line. And of course, if you're tilting as you draw, as you should be anyway, you will find that you will have a very thick, it goes into a very thin line. Now that, for me, is very exciting. The fact that you can kind of draw a Quentin Blake face and have a very thin line going back into a very thick line. Now, the Fude nib is something I would highly recommend for anybody who's seriously getting into some drawings. And again, I think this was about £10 or something. And I still think it's like a Jinhao, but there is a lot of Chinese brands there at the moment. And there is, see, again, here's another one here. It's very, very beautiful. And another beautiful pen. Look at that. It's an absolute gorgeous pen. Can I see the name on it? Name and Shame. What have we got there? Anyway, you can see the name of it. And it's a beautiful pen. It's a very slim pen. And it's quite an expensive pen, if I remember. But again, I'm finding it dribs the ink. It's very difficult to kind of keep a constant flow. The line is constantly breaking. And the frustration of buying one of pens like that, and then buying the Lamy 2000, a Chinese-made pen. Again, a little bit, it's just sucking up some of that loose ink on it. And the Lamy 2000, I think it's got a brown ink in it. There you go. And again, it's very constant. And the Lamy is one of my favorites. I use this a lot. People were talking about sketching with these. Yes. You know, kind of sketching up faces and having a bit of fun with them. They're lovely for your sketchbook. You can draw pretty much anything. And the thing is, with the fountain pen and the constant flow, it's a really beautiful thing to have in your hand. And you can sketch up whatever. You can sketch up arms. You can sketch up people. You can sit in a coffee shop and be sketching up people, and claws and such things, and you can have fun with it. And it's a very beautiful kind of approach with these. So that's the Lamy. The Lamy is also, I think this is the Lamy 2000, which is slightly more expensive than the regular Lamys, which I've got a whole handful. I've got about 6 of the other Lamys, just for the simple reason that they are very delightful things to take out. If you're going sitting on a train or something like that, you don't want to have a jar of ink. Can you imagine something like that on a train or in a car or something, you know? By the time you get there, you would be constantly one color. The other delight is this beautiful, beautiful sailor that, again, I mean, this was a gift from my friend Natalie. It was a beautiful gift. And it is, again, it's the Sailor Fude. And it has that incredible little snub nose nib. Absolutely beautiful. And this is one of my favorites for the simple reason that it seems to take it that one step further into kind of giving you an artistic edge to your line. And by that, I mean that when I draw with this, I find that I can quite easily vary my lines. But sometimes if I'm drawing quick, it gives me that kind of broken that I can control, that I can kind of have that control. And I don't really find it so much with the others. But with the Sailor, I find that there is something very beautiful about it, that I can draw and the diversity of that line there is that it's going very, very broken at the beginning. If you can see, it's kind of got like a rough edge to it. Then it's coming into this big thick, then straight into a very, very thin, then down to a broken line, up to a thick, back into a thin, scraggly line, back to a thick line. And the absolute beauty of that is that if you're drawing, if you're sketching and you're seeing somebody, you can kind of sketch up and you have this lovely raw feeling about your person. Your sketch has this natural feeling to it. And it's a very, 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 very beautiful thing to kind of build into. And it gives you that looseness about your drawing. And I find it's absolutely delightful. It gives you that extra dimension to your line. And, you know, if you're quite what's the word? I mean, look how I can go through it, and by lifting it up to this, using the point of it, I can have this lovely, this shading, this kind of cross hatching. And then if I want, by turning the pen back over from that drawing into a very fine line to turning over to going back into a very thick line. Look at that. Straight back in. Tilt, back into a thin line. And by practicing that, you've got such a powerful tool. This one, I can't remember if it's a cartridge. I think it is a cartridge one, but you can get, there you go. It's a cartridge with an extra cartridge in there. And this is one of my favorites. It's one of my favorites because it gives me that scope of line. It gives me something where I can just sit and I can kind of just draw, and I can kind of come up with little characters, and by changing the line and by shuffling my position on my line, that I can kind of basically go in and draw. Very, very ugly person, but and it gives me that kind of, there you are with with the hair. You can see the line has broken up around with the hair, and it gives you that kind of feeling of excitement in the line. It gives you that feeling that somebody has drawn it with a bit of passion in their hand. And again, if I tilt it over, I can go through and I can shade that up, and I give it that lovely ink pen touch. And I love that. I absolutely love that about the Fude nib, that it gives you that, not just a writing pen, which, you know, if I was to do the same thing with the Lamy or something else, I would probably find. So the two Fude nibs for me are very, 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 very attractive. Thank you, Natalie. And this particular one, this Sailor one, I would have to say is among one of my most favorite. And I've literally, if I'm going out somewhere and I'm sitting in the train, I'm going on a long journey, I'll put that in my bag. I'll have my sketchbook and I'll be sketching people and I'll be sketching ideas, and I can tilt it, do some shading, I can tilt it back and do some writing, you know. This is a man. This is a man. And the complete contrast there with one pen is really, really delicious. It really is very, very exciting. And the whole way that kind of breaks up also gives me a lot of sketch feel when I am actually when I'm drawing. I can kind of feel like I'm sketching up, and I feel that by doing the shading, it's just delightful. So there you are, a small introduction, a short introduction to the difference and the missing element of some of these pens. From the, you can pick some of them up. I mean, I've had this one for, I don't know how many years, but the frustration of us having such a beautiful pen. Cross, I'm cross. Cross, I'm cross with you. And I have so many fountain pens, and top of my list is the Fude ones. I'm really, really, especially with this green. What a green color, beautiful. This green, delicious Fude nib by Sailor. Again, you've got that roughness there with the L and that break. So if you're drawing, it's really is so beautiful when you're sketching, and you look back at your drawing and think, oh, it's got that almost like a broken sketch feeling to it. It's very, 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 very delightful. So there is my missing link for the nibs that I was talking about yesterday, and the difference between something like that and something like that. There you are. Where's the other one? There you are. So you can see the dip pen and you can see the fountain pen, and the differences are these kind of gills that I was talking about here. They soak up the ink and they trickle it through, whereas a dip pen, you've got to dip, 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 whereas that will just keep drawing until the cartridge runs out. So for you people that are sketching and you want a bit of ink, I would highly recommend going out and treating yourself to a Sailor Fude nib, or a simple, if you want straight lines and things like that, then go for a regular nib. If you want that thick and thin and you want to be able to do some shading, definitely go and get yourself a Fude nib. And you can go and get yourself a Chinese very, very cheapy one for about a tenner, or you can go for a slightly more expensive, the Sailor. And both of them will, I mean, that's the Fude one there. The gills are slightly kind of hidden in this version, but it does the same thing. it will give you that shading effect. If anything, I'd probably say the Chinese one has a little bit more of a flow, which means I won't really get that broken line, and I won't get such a fine. Even there with the shading, you can see that's a little bit heavier with the ink. You can see there's a stronger flow. So I'm not quite sure what's happening in there, but you will definitely have much more of a gush of ink with the Chinese version of. So if I'm drawing fast, you will see that it's very consistent. There is no break in the line. There's no stagger in there. There's no thinning out. But I can snap back into drawing some very thin lines. So the Fude is a very, very nice. So there you are, my two favorites on the Fude side of things. The regular nibs are very beautiful if you're writing a lot. It's very nice to have a fountain pen anyway. If you're sketching, I highly recommend having a couple of fountain pens in your bag. Now, you can get a waterproof ink as well if you're really into it, but for me, it's never really bothered me. I sketch a lot in my notebooks and things like that, and generally, I kind of love that feeling of pulling out a nib, unscrew, and I'm straight into drawing. I'm straight into ink. Constant flow of ink. Nib back on, back in your bag. Sometimes I put it in a small plastic bag, like a finger bag, and just so that if the ink comes out, it doesn't go in your bag. But that's very, very rare. Always have some tissues with you. But so there you are, the missing link for nibs in general. I really do love the quality of these nibs, though I've never really had success with them. This cross nib, I think it was called the Ireland, I think it was called. And it comes in a beautiful leather case, like I said, and you kind of pop it, and it is absolutely beautiful. Look at the quality of that. Absolutely beautiful. But maybe you can help me. Maybe you can teach me. This is a very clean pen. It is relatively new. Well, I mean, when I got it, it was relatively new, and it just never flows, and it has ink in it. And yes, I know how to clean a pen, and yes, I know that if I squeeze the cartridge a little bit, it will, let me show you, squeezing the cartridge a little bit, it will pump a little bit of ink down through. You can see how clean everything in there is. And you put the lid back on, and then you're praying for a drop of ink, and nothing comes, nothing. So if you are an expert on fountain pens, or if you work for Cross, help, because that absolutely gorgeous pen will now just sit there. It will never get used because there's no flow on this lovely heavy. It's, I mean, the beauty of having a pen like that and having something like that in its own little leather case in your bag is a delight, but it sits on the side. So you can send me some comments. Tell me something about the fountain pen. Tell me what I am doing wrong. And I would love to know. I would absolutely love to see some kind of tips and tricks maybe about getting some of those more luxury pens to flow. Whereas I find I can pick up a cheap pen for $10 and it flows. I buy something else for like $100 and it works when it wants. It's like the old grandmother, it's like, yeah, I can't be bothered today. I won't do it today. So anyway, so that is all about the fountain pen, the gorgeous, the delightful fountain pen. And if you have some money to play with, go and treat yourself to a couple. Even go and buy some of the cheaper ones online, and they suck up all the ink inside. So you don't have to buy cartridges, jar of ink and a pen, and you suck all the ink up into it and off you go. So I hope that answers the fountain pen question. And I will talk to you very, very, very soon. Please send me some comments. I would love to know what you're thinking. I would love to know some experiences maybe that you've had with fountain pens. Are you a fountain pen user? But there we have it. That's today's video. I have now put the missing link in. The beast, the fountain pen. Right? So, I will see you soon. Send me some comments and we'll talk again very, very, very soon. Have a fantastic day and keep drawing. All right? See you soon. Bye-bye.